Hello everybody! In today's video, we're going to talk about another requested topic, which is the dark night of the soul. What is the dark night of the soul? How long does it last? And how can we help ourselves and others to see the light at the end of the tunnel? So, first of all, obviously, as usual, let's describe and give a sense to what is exactly the dark night of the soul, because obviously, as for many spiritual topics, there is a lot of confusions out there that hopefully I'm going to shed some light today for you. At least I'm going to give you my perspective, which is no better or worse than other people. It's just simply my perspective and my experience. So the dark night of the soul is an intense period in a lifetime that can happen once or more time in a lifetime, or cannot even happen in one lifetime but in the next ones, or happened in past lives. But one thing is certain: everybody that is incarnated in planet Earth at some point in time, believe it or not, it's going to deal with the dark night of the soul. And it's this intense period where everything that you thought was real, all the attachment, are going to be purged and completely erased from your reality. The dark night of the soul, it's the way of your soul to make you learn the lesson in the hard way, because perhaps you didn't learn the lesson in previous past life, or you just are not getting the lesson in any other way apart from the hard way. Or in some other cases, because it could be also, your soul decides to put you through a very intense period. And I'm talking not just 6 months, 3 months, I'm talking like a year, 2 years. For some people, it's even 5 years. It really depends obviously on the situation, but it's a long, intense period of difficulties and dismantling of old beliefs, attachments, of your old self, literally, of what you thought you once knew, dismantling as well of the ego. That's why it's called the dark night and not the light night. It's a very intense period. And it does that also to release past wounds, karma, we could say, from past life. So basically the soul says, I'm going to do this as quick as possible, which for the soul, time doesn't really exist. So a human incarnation of 2 years or 3 years of struggle, for the soul it's like nothing like that. Obviously for us it's very difficult, it's very different. So it says, I'm just going to deal with whatever I need to deal right now in the shortest amount of time and in the most intense way possible. Again, either we do it the easy way or the hard way. And on a soul perspective, it's obviously better the hard way for us. When I'm talking about the dark night of the soul, I'm talking like pure dismantling. And again, like I said before, there are various ways to deal with the dark night of the soul. That's why some people enter dark night of the soul more than once in a lifetime, perhaps to learn the lesson even further. I have dealt with the dark night of the soul, and if you watch my video on my other channel called Born Psychic, my story, you just hear all my stories and everything that I've been through. For what I personally know, the dark night of the soul is not a punishment from God or from Source. It's your greatest gift, if it's lived at least a little bit consciously, or at least until the end. If you understand the lessons that your soul, because it's your soul choice, it's not a punishment for anybody. It's your soul deciding to go on that purging for a specific reason. And the specific reason are more than once, usually we could say generally, are for learning humility, surrendering, trust, and for learning especially why you came here on this planet, for not wasting you any more time. And it's a way for your soul to show you who you really are, why you really came here, and to become your greatest, fully integrated self. When I'm talking about integration, I'm talking about integrating your shadow side, like I talked in my previous video, bring them to the light, heal them, learning forgiveness, and merge to spirit as much as possible in this incarnation. So as you can see, in order to achieve this level of living consciously, I would say, we obviously need to purge a lot of things, which is not necessarily the easiest way to live through, because while we are in the process, this will be typically the symptom of a dark night of the soul. I'm going to give you my example, or generally my example, so you understand. You think, like my example, I was a metal singer. I thought I was having everything settled down in life. I would have be signed to a bigger label, and the process was there. It was definitely there. But at the same time, in that process, I was feeding my ego without no limit. Like, I thought I was identified with the ego for the various reasons that I talked in the video Born Psychic, My Story. So obviously my soul needed to scream out loud that I was going into the wrong direction, at least for this incarnation. I needed to learn certain stuff. So the dismantling of whatever I was happened through circumstances that we could say, you lose your job, you lose your relationship that you thought was the guy that you're gonna marry, you all of a sudden, in my case, festivals, like without no apparent reason, started to drop me, and it was just one thing after the other. I am sure many of you guys that clicked on this video, either they met a person that is dealing with the dark night of the soul, they have been in the dark night of the soul, or they are in the dark night of the soul. So you completely relate to this. So you are entering, or you entered perhaps, or somebody that you know, a period where everything just falls. In psychic reading, we call it a tower moment, a very long tower moment that has a purpose of transforming you into your greatest version and giving you the gift of your soul purpose, or what exactly you came here to live. And we see a lot of stuff in the dark night of the soul. Alcohol, drugs might be even involved. It's like everything gets dark. We get into our deepest shadow. Now, I believe this period, by the way, like I said, lasts a very long time. And it's really everything that you try doesn't work. And I'm going to be very honest, because I think when you don't sugarcoat things to people, it's not that I don't want to give you hope. We're going to arrive to the light at the end of the tunnel at the end of this video, but I want to be honest, because when I was dealing with the dark night of the soul, I didn't really want people to sugarcoat this thing. I wanted people to be honest with me so I could identify what I was dealing with. And just by the fact naming that I was in the dark night of the soul, or understanding what my soul was going through, helped me tremendously. So honesty, it's the first thing, especially if you're trying to help your friends or a family member that is dealing with this dismantling that can be very intense, because it's truly a dismantling of the ego in a broader perspective. So obviously everything that this person or yourself or myself I was trying to do, or you're trying to do, doesn't work. It's like falling in a dark cave, and you're trying to scratch the wall and to hang into all the things that you knew, and your fingers are floating with blood because of the pressure of the rocks and everything. And you know, once you stay there for like a year, and you try and you try and you try, and nothing doesn't work, and everything becomes darker and darker and darker, the only thing that I would suggest you to do, and that I did personally, is surrendering. Surrendering completely. Instead of scratching the wall and hurting yourself even more, fall. You're gonna reach a point in the dark night of the soul where falling is actually liberating. Where falling, it's not anymore pressure. When you allow yourself to say, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what is going on. I just know I'm in darkness. I just know that I'm falling. I just know that what I thought I knew, it's not true. What I thought I was, my ego perspective, it's rubbish. I am not this body. I am not my mind. I am something deeper than that. And through the falling, you understand all this lesson. We call it the Hermit card in tarot reading. The Hermit is not afraid to go within, in the darkness, in the shadows, because he knows he has a lamp, he has a light within, the light of the soul, that it's going to lead him to his ultimate purpose, which is the World card at the end of tarot. I did a tarot course. If you guys want to check it out, I'm going to link it down below. That is 20% off if you're interested in tarot. But never mind about that. You fall and you reach a point of stillness in the dark night of the soul, when truly you are surrendering and accepting that things are falling. can take a lot of years. And now in here, we are going to divide living consciously the dark night of the soul and living unconsciously the dark night of the soul, with the idea that the dark night is there to teaching us a greater purpose: forgiveness, surrendering, understanding, having faith, soul purpose, all of that. Now, some people, without no judgment at all, I'm saying this because that's not my intention, but some people live the dark night of the soul as victims because they don't take responsibility, or perhaps they don't have advice, they don't know, they're not on a spiritual path, they don't know what's going on. So why should I judge anything like that? I've been there. So what happens is that they even went out of the dark night of the soul without really understanding what was going on. Would say, oh, it was just a dark period of my life, and once that it's ended, they start again acting in the same way, and things in a cycle repeat. They go out to another dark night of the soul until they finally get it, and everybody will get it. Everybody. Then other people instead have a profound, deep transformation through the dark night of the soul. I see people recovering from drugs. I see people really uplifting, becoming light workers, shining their light through because of the dark night of the soul. So as you can see, the dark night of the soul is not a punishment, it's a powerful gift. So when these people understand the lesson, they surrender to a greater and broader perspective, they start to live not only the dark night of the soul, but their life consciously. And the greatest gift in this human experience, in my perspective, my humble perspective, it's living life consciously. What do I mean by living life consciously? It's understanding what is going on in our inner mind and trying not to identify anymore with the body and neither with the mind, but understanding that we have a choice. We have a choice of surrendering to the soul, surrendering to source. We have a choice of alignment. I can choose deliberately, and I can become the master of my own reality without not faking positive thinking or faking or necessarily pushing myself into actions when I'm not ready. But I can stay in the stillness, and through the stillness I can feel my own soul and my own inner guidance system, and that will lead me to the light at the end of the tunnel. And then we get to the light. Now, what happens is that obviously, at least in my case, it was just I didn't know who I was anymore. It was so dismantling that I don't even have words. I think words are too limited for describing the amount of dismantling and acceptance and surrendering that a person has to deal in the dark night of the soul. We're talking about heavy things, guys. We're talking about losing your job, losing your career, losing a relationship, a person that you really thought you loved, discovering truth about your friends. Like, all your words change and you change. So once you pass, let's say, this phase, if you're living the dark night of the soul consciously, perhaps you're going even to a counselor, a healer. That's something that I highly suggest to do, because they help you get through the light at the end of the tunnel. And also seeing the signs and synchronicity while you are in the dark night, that just tells you, okay, you're dealing with this. It's gonna last a little longer, but you are in the zone. You're gonna be fine. Watching movies that uplift you, and they are hopeful. They always tell you, okay, this is a dark moment, but there is the light at the end of the tunnel. You're gonna be great. You're gonna go where your purpose is. Fantastic. Even though it is difficult, and I understand. So once you are getting away after a couple of years from the dark night of the soul, and you didn't lose yourself in the shadows, which is something that I highly stress all the time. Many people, unfortunately, in the spiritual community, they lose themselves in this terminology. So, I'm having the dark night of the soul, I'm having shadow work, and it's all their life they spend in healing and shadow and darkness, forgetting that there is the light at the end of the tunnel. There is the light. We are light beings. So, dark night, acceptance, surrendering, and then you start to see the light. living consciously. When you start to see the light, at least when I did, I understood through even signs and synchronicity, people that come into your life unexpectedly, because the dark night of the soul, teaching you surrendering, teaches you to open your mind to the infinite possibility of God, of source, leading you in the right exact path for your soul expansion. It's a very important lesson. So opening yourself up to the great possibilities, you start to see the light. It's not still the light, it's before that, when things start to shift and change within your reality and outside your reality. Now, another important phase of the dark night of the soul is forgiveness. I saw people that dealt with the dark night of the soul even more than once in their lifetime, and when they understood the lesson of forgiveness and humility and shedding the ego, I believe these people were so mature in the soul expansion that it's impressive the level of maturity, the forgiveness, and the level of freedom that forgiveness can give you. And when I'm talking about forgiveness, I even wrote it down in my book, Love Just Is. I'm not talking about fake forgiveness, where you oblige yourself to forgive people and say, oh, well, we're all one, I have to forgive. True forgiveness, it means that you understand and take responsibility for whatever happened into your life. You understand the broader perspective, which doesn't mean that you don't consider what happened into your life or the pain that other people caused you. But forgiveness through a process, it's because you connect with those people, you understand the situation, and you rise above, understanding also their pain, and you forgive whatever happened, because it couldn't have been different in some circumstances. They were trying to do their best, perhaps in some cases, maybe they didn't, and it's okay. We are all learning, and we are all in the process. We are all in the same boat. You rise above and really connect with this unconditional love. You cannot really attain a level, if we can call it that way, of mastery of this reality, or at least connection, communion with God, communion with your alignment and with source, without understanding the process of forgiveness. And when you forgive, you liberate yourself. You liberate yourself, you heal yourself from past wounds, you move forward into the light. You activate also your spiritual warrior. What do I mean by spiritual warrior? Without forgiveness, the spiritual warrior can become anger, can become ego-driven. When I'm talking about your spiritual warrior, it's because you don't give up. You have the strength that comes from your alignment with your soul, that tells you, no matter how dark this is, no matter how people hurted me, I'm going to be fine. I know I'm going to be fine. I believe in the light, and I'm going to choose the light from today on. This is what I did, Alyssa. It really uplifted me to another level, at least of my existence, that was very, very profound. And when you start to see your spiritual warrior within, your strength, the strength that comes from your soul, the liberation that comes from forgiveness, you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you start walking through the light. Now, I don't recommend to run immediately towards the light, and you're like, what you're saying? No, there is sense logic to my madness. It's because you want it to be the right perfect time for you to activate your soul purpose. So see the light at the end of the tunnel, wait, don't go, wait and see the signs, the synchronicities from the universe. You are going to feel it. There is no doubt in my mind that you will know if you activate this part of your soul and understood the lessons of the dark night of the soul. You will see, and you will know exactly when to take and grasp those opportunities in the stillness, through patience, again, surrendering. I'm going to quote Yogananda for a second about your soul purpose. Yogananda says, "To be alive is to be on fire with purpose, to move forward with undaunted determination toward a goal." Edgar Cayce once said that human beings cannot truly feel complete without knowing their soul's purpose. So as you can see, a lot of masters, the sleeping prophet, Edgar Cayce, and I'm going to quote also the Dalai Lama, "One thing I want to make clear as far as my own rebirth is concerned, the final authority is myself and no one else." All these people understood that the only authority that you need is your soul and communion with God or communion with Source. There isn't a life that is fulfilled without a purpose. Your soul purpose doesn't necessarily have to be your job or your career, but it's the thing that make you feel the light. It's the thing that when you wake up in the morning, you feel you are in love with all that is, with the trees, the plant, the earth. You don't even necessarily need a person, although you can, in your own freedom, you can choose a soul to live your purpose with, or perhaps walk a little while with. That's all beautiful, that's a gift. Understanding your soul purpose is the dismantling of the ego and the merging of your soul as your master instead of your ego. And that is a life transforming experience. At least it was for me. I love music. I'm still gonna do music, but the way I do music right now, it's completely different. It's not ego driven. I don't need to sign to Universal to know that I love music. I don't need fame necessarily. I connected with my own psychic gift. So I could help myself. I could forgive myself for what I have. I could be my own full expression and align with what I came here, which is a constant process and unfoldment. But once you find your soul purpose, all the other aspects of your life will be filled with joy and contentment, because you will understand that you are an unlimited being having a wonderful, perfect expansion. I hope this, guys, was clear for you. Comment down below if you want other videos, or perhaps you have other questions regarding any other spiritual topic. This was my humble take on the dark night of the soul. Share, like this video, and keep in mind you're never wrong if you follow love. Bless everyone.